Hey there, Aquarius. Welcome to your reading for the week of October 20th. You start with this wisdom and this flow card. I feel like some of you, it's like not fighting against the flow of life is what these two cards are encouraging you to do. That flow card, can represent being in the flow or getting into the flow. But I think this is more asking you to trust the flow of life, like the wisdom of the flow of life, if that makes sense. And to trust that you're kind of like going in the right direction. It's almost like needing to not fight against the flow as well. Sometimes it is good to fight against the flow, really. If you think about a fish, right? A fish, sometimes they go with the flow. Sometimes they need to swim upstream to be able to build their muscles, right? And so I feel for some of you, it's like, if you've been fighting the current for too long, it's like you are very strong now. And now it's time for you to kind of like go with the flow a little bit. And I feel that, and here you go, you have another card of flow, the Eight of Wands. So, I definitely feel it's kind of like time to maybe pay attention. And your first row is going to represent your current general energies, and you have the Six of Pentacles. So the Six of Pentacles can be about paying attention to what's working, which would also kind of be about getting into the flow, right? So, if we pay attention to what's working in life, what's not working, and we double down on the success, then obviously things can get better. I feel like Aquarius is definitely one of the signs that needs to kind of pay attention. It's like I think you need to look at where you're at is really what I'm getting in life. Because it's like the reading itself is pretty good. You have some good cards. Empress, Ten of Pentacles, Eight of Wands, Six of Cups, and the good stuff. Like it looks good, but I feel like there's this need to like assess where you're at. Because I feel if you look at where you're at in life, there might be some, things. It could be in work or business, which is really kind of what I'm feeling for the most part here, Aquarius. Where, it's like things have been the same. And I feel it's time for Aquarius to stand out, as I always say to you. And, we're only at the beginning of Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius is going to make you like an inspiration to other people. And so we have, a long time, like 20 years, 19 years now at this point, basically, for you to kind of work on that. But you could do it now. You don't have to wait 20 years. You don't have to wait 19 years, for us to get to the end of Pluto and Aquarius. It's like really a good time for Aquarius to exceed their own expectations. Whatever you think the limit is for you in your life, it's great to blow past it, right? And it will just make your life better. So that's what I would do there. You have the Empress. Yeah, very abundant reading. I feel like you're worried about something. You have the Nine of Swords to the Ten of Swords. It's kind of funny, like, whenever something like this shows up, because it basically says you're worrying about something you don't need to worry about, right? It's like you could be thinking that something isn't going well, but it actually is, or, you could be making a bigger deal out of something. It's kind of funny because Pisces gets this as well. And, you're born right next to Pisces. And so, sometimes I think that certain like astrological things like affect a chunk of the sky, if that makes sense. Like, you and it's like Capricorn, Aquarius, and then Pisces that those signs seem to be dealing with this. And that's like a certain chunk of the sky, if that makes sense. And, again, I think a lot of you, it's like you could be seeing warning signs. It's kind of weird that I feel like, it's almost like the universe is giving you warning signs for something that isn't going to happen because the universe is trying to get you to get into this flow, to trust the flow of life, to trust that you're being led in the right direction or something like that, right? And, the Empress is very good for abundance. The Empress really says it's like you have more skills than you realize. She can do something very easily. All she has to do is wave that scepter in front of her, and the wheat in front of her will grow. And the funny thing is that we have this waterfall behind her. The waterfall is actually kind of tied to the tower as well, because the waterfall represents chaotic force. The water is coming from the Emperor. There's actually water flowing behind the Emperor down to the Empress. But the waterfall, the bottom of the waterfall is chaos, which is kind of like the tower. And it represents chaotic force. But she obviously isn't even worried about it. What it represents is the fact that she understands that there will always be chaos around her, but she will just focus on growing her abundance, right? She isn't worried about all these things that are going on. And so, there's like something in that for you, Aquarius. I know that's not a very helpful message, but, the Nine of Swords is worry. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles. Like, there's nothing to worry about, right? Other than to focus on your abundance. So, there you go. I would also trust your intuition with the High Priestess, obviously. The High Priestess wants us to tap in and listen to our intuition more. The High Priestess also wants us to embrace mystery. And I definitely feel that's a big theme for you, Aquarius, is that, you can't just dip your toes in the water, which, every time you get the star, I say this to you. You don't have the star. I'm just, giving you an example here. But I think that right now, Aquarius is in a time where you have to go deep. You had Pluto retrograde. Pluto is finally direct. It's October 15th. It went direct yesterday. Or, some people are saying the 13th. It really depends on when you're born or where you are in the world. But, whatever. It's direct, right? Pluto retrograde in your own sign, it makes you need to explore something on a very deep level. And you might be saying, Chris, Pluto is direct. You would be correct, but also we are in the shadow for a long ass time. It takes Pluto forever to move forward. So even though it's direct, it doesn't matter. We still have time to implement what we learned. We still have time to work with the energy, and it's in the shadow. So, I would be anything that you're interested in. It doesn't even matter. It could be a person, place, or a thing, or an idea. I would be really researching it and digging into the mystery. It's like if you don't know something, that doesn't mean that you should stop. Like if you're trying to build a business or, trying to improve your health or whatever you're trying to do, it means that you should go deeper. And I definitely would with that card for sure. But let's see where this is going. With the Six of Pentacles, you have the Three of Pentacles. Yes. I think like the past 10 readings I've done for you have said that you need to do something on your own in some way, or you need to make sure that you are the leader, right? It's okay for you to work with people, and actually, Pluto in Aquarius is the collective, so you will be benefiting the collective. You will be working with the collective potentially, working with groups of people. It's fine as long as you are the leader. Again, if you're working on any projects or businesses or ideas where, someone else is the leader, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but it might be a little bit more of a struggle. So, I think as long as you're getting attention on your own work, then things will go very well. With the Empress, you have the Five of Swords. Yeah, it's like taking the risk of being independent, really. The Empress is very independent. And, but again, that doesn't mean she's alone. We're not talking about like being alone necessarily. What we're talking about is taking the risk of going your own way, right, Aquarius, which I'm pretty sure I've said to you recently. Again, he is going in his own direction here. These two people have lost the battle, but he's choosing to kind of, win, basically. And I feel you need that. Maybe that's where this reading is going. We'll see what comes up when we clarify the rest of it, but it's like you need to choose to win. With the High Priestess, you have the Five of Pentacles. Yes. It's like things are missing. It's like that's the best way I can describe that. Yeah, sure, you might be missing information. You might be missing an understanding of some sort of concept to, make your business successful or to have a successful relationship or whatever you're trying to work on here. I think it's going to be different for all of you. The reason I say this is Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is everything you want and desire in your life, so it's going to be different for all of you. And I feel like, like something's missing, but you could easily get to the bottom of this by going deeper with the High Priestess. Again, she, there's a theory that the High Priestess has her back to the world. Like, she is shutting out all the noise so that she can listen and so that she can hear herself. That might be a good thing for you to do this week is like listen to yourself more or, carve out some meditation time or something like that. I would definitely be considering that with these cards. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Prepare card and this Adventure. Prepare for adventure, Aquarius. Clearly, there could be some sort of adventure or change or something that you're doing with your life. Or you could be moving in a new direction as well. So, again, I definitely feel it could be time to prepare at this time. You have the Ten of Wands, the Nine of Swords, and the Queen of Swords. It's like the unknown. The Ten of Wands, I think sometimes we can burden ourselves with just extra activities in life that really don't serve us, just so we don't have to, because it makes us feel like we're doing something. It's like in this reading, this Ten of Wands feels a little bit like busy work to me. And so I feel like you need to kind of be careful of doing that busy work, the things that don't matter, and you need to focus more on the things that do matter. and also not like distract yourself. It's like I've heard from people in the past that they have a habit of like when they think about working on a project, they go and do the dishes instead. It's like, well, maybe the dishes can wait, right? Maybe you don't need to distract yourself by cleaning your entire house like right this second, and maybe it would be better for you to get started instead of putting a distraction in front of what you're trying to accomplish. And I kind of feel that's where this is going. You have the Nine of Swords. Yeah, it's like the one little hiccup in this reading. I'm not too worried about it. You go down to the Ten of Swords, and you might be thinking the Ten of Swords is a bad card, but actually, again, in this situation, I would say that you're ending a cycle. The Nine of Swords is a never-ending nightmare. It is a cycle. So, in a lot of ways, I think it's kind of a blessing to have the Ten of Swords in this reading, because it would say that you're finally, bringing this round-around, thing to an end. I feel for some of you, this really isn't a big deal. I think it's just an unanswered question in your life is what's popping into my head. So I feel some of you have like one big question that you're trying to get an answer to. I'm pretty sure I said this in your mid-monthly reading. Maybe I didn't say exactly that, but I said something about answers coming in for you, Aquarius, or, it's popping into my head right now as I say that. So I feel like there could be like one unanswered question. Really, the solution is very simple, right? The solution is to dig into mystery with the High Priestess. She has to peek behind the curtain. She has to take the risk of potentially being disappointed. I would be actually a little bit more worried about this reading if we had like the Ten of Cups and the Seven of Cups in this reading, for example, which I don't know. We'll see what comes up. But, the reason I would be worried if those cards showed up in this reading, unless we get some other grounded stuff, is because, again, those two cards represent just dreaming of the fantasy, thinking about the fantasy, and which I feel that the High Priestess in this reading needs to stop doing. Like, I feel like she's dreaming of something, and she needs to, like, dive into it, and, I hope that makes sense. You have the Queen of Swords, which is good in this reading as well, based off of how I feel, because the Queen of Swords has gained clarity for the first time. She only has clouds halfway up her body, and so she is seeing the future. She's seeing her future potential life much more clearly, and I feel like you could be getting a lot more clarity here, Aquarius, which again would probably be a good thing for you. You could be seeing things in your life more clearly as well, which is also good, so I definitely like to see that with the Queen of Swords. And yeah, that's it. With the Ten of Wands, you have the Chariot. Again, very good. Good with the adventure card. He is going on an adventure. The Chariot can represent charging through an obstacle, which is kind of weird, but it kind of makes sense because we have Uranus next month going retrograde in Taurus. Some people say Uranus is the bull, Taurus is like a bull in a china shop. That's not actually true. It's like, yeah, sure, there are some parts of that are true, but Taurus in astrology is more like the bull in the bullpen. People who are born Taurus, they usually have like things from their past that kind of keep them stuck in the bullpen, and they need to flip it over their back, right? And so, yes, I understand you're not a Taurus, but I'm going somewhere with this, that the Chariot is kind of similar. He sees an obstacle, and he just barrels right through it. He doesn't really allow the obstacle to stop him in any way. And the Chariot encourages you to become more unstoppable, or to develop a little bit of that energy, there's something in that for you, Aquarius. This is kind of a deep reading here, and so there you go. But definitely could be a victory. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Six of Cups. Yeah, maybe too many concerns from the past. It's funny that I said that the Taurus thing, because, Taurus, again, like I said, usually Tauruses, they get older, and they realize a lot of their obstacles came from their childhood, for example, right? And so Six of Cups is the energy of the child. It is childlike energy. It is innocence and nostalgia. And so a lot of you could be, escaping some sort of prison or, something that has been holding you back from years ago. Maybe not since your childhood, but, this could be anything from your past. The beautiful thing about the Six of Cups is that it's sometimes a gift from the universe, and usually the gift we receive is like a removal of an obstacle, being able to push past an obstacle. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Page of Pentacles. Yeah, Page of Pentacles is like communication, and Page of Pentacles is studiousness, learning new things. Obviously, if you're going deeper into something with the High Priestess, if you're learning about it, then you're learning, and that could be the thing that sets you free here. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this mature woman. It says wise, older, influential woman, a mother figure, good advisor, boss, mentor, teacher, ex, the other woman. You have the sweetheart. It says in love, sweetness, mutual feelings, devoted, good intentions, innocence, which we said with the Six of Cups. Love is in the air. Love and affection. I think this reading is all about you, really. But if you want love, then there definitely could be a solid connection coming in. Again, I think every single reading that I've done for you recently has said something about getting a mentor. Like the King of Swords always comes up for you, Aquarius. So I think, finding a mentor or getting a mentor would be a really good idea. And tapping into that resource. You have the Justice, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Ten of Swords. I would be a little bit careful with fairness. We're not really in a fair time. And, is this a bad thing? No, I think... where we can get tripped up a little bit, especially with Neptune and Pisces, which Neptune is retrograding in Pisces right now, is that we can assume that people we're working with are going to treat us how we treat them. It's not necessarily saying people are bad. It's just saying that maybe not. It's like maybe you have certain intentions for a project or something you're working on, but other people have their own intentions. And, kind of getting to the bottom of that could be very helpful. I do still overall feel pretty good about this. I feel this is encouraging you to take a neutral approach to anything that you're entering into. I think it's about letting go of control with that flow card. Again, the flow card can say you're kind of swimming upstream, fighting against the flow, fighting against the current. And the Justice card, I feel, is saying, what would happen if you just let go of something? Especially if this is love, by the way. It's what would happen if you just didn't try to control the situation? I think we all do this. We get hurt in past relationships. We think we're going to get into a new relationship, and we say to ourselves, I'm going to make this person do all these things to prove to me that they're not going to do what the last person did. But it's what if doing that creates it in the first place? It's what if saying, I'm going to make this person jump through hoops makes them do whatever your past person did in the first place, right? So it's sometimes I think we just have to let go, right? And just trust the process, to be cliche here, Aquarius. And, we really can't control anyone. That's the thing. I think that's the biggest lesson in love for everybody is that, really, you can't make another person do a damn thing, right? And so sometimes you just have to enter in with your peepers, your eyeballs wide open, and you just have to pay attention, and you have to take the risk of being vulnerable with a person, and then, you just have to go from there, right? You have the Ten of Pentacles. Again, everything you want and desire in your life. Every fixed sign gets this because of Uranus and Taurus, even though, it's not going to retrograde back in until next month. Uranus and Taurus really triggers fixed signs to build and leave a legacy, which is to have it all. Will you ever truly have it all? Probably not. But, as I always say, I think this is what everybody should do. I think we should work towards having it all, and, realistically, and we should be putting in the work to make it happen, because we will have a better life if we do that. I kind of feel for most of you this is one thing this week. Maybe this won't be true for the after this week, but this week it seems to me like you're trying to find one answer, like I said, or you're trying to get to the bottom of one thing. And I do feel it would be helpful to the big picture, here with the Ten of Pentacles. So, it might be a good time to do that. And by the way, whatever you're doing for work, I feel that it could be something that is going to benefit you for the long haul. If you are working on anything that is going to take time to build, then yes, definitely good for you, Aquarius. Saturn retrograde in your second house, Pisces, right? Saturn will enter back into Aries in February of next year. But until then, anything that you can set up that could potentially support you for many years to come, definitely a very good idea. And Ten of Pentacles loves long-term effort. So does Saturn in your second house. Anything that will bring value to your life. You have the Ten of Swords, which again, I feel very good. I'm happy to see this in this reading because of the Nine of Swords here. It kind of says that you're bringing a cycle to an end. The Ten of Swords isn't really a bad card. He's making the same symbol the Hierophant is right here. And the, it kind of represents a blessing. So the Ten of Swords can be a blessing in disguise. With the Justice card, you have the Temperance card. It's like, the funny thing about everything that I've said in this reading is that Temperance is trying to make something perfect, right? Temperance, sure, it can represent temperance and patience and all this other stuff, but he has this win behind him. He could go claim this crown, but he's like trying to make something perfect before he goes down this path. So, Temperance isn't really a bad card, and I don't think it's bad for you, but I feel like it's saying, like, don't try to control the environment, it's like, don't wait for things to be perfect to do something here, Aquarius. With the Ten of Pentacles, you have the Four of Pentacles. Yes, I don't remember exactly what I said at the beginning of the reading, but, I said something about you needing to exceed your expectations. It's like, Four of Pentacles is the status quo. It is like how things have been going all along. But it's like, you could have something exceptional. Didn't I say this to you? It's like, I think people would act differently if like God came to you and said, guess what? This is what you are truly capable of. Like, if there was a guarantee that if the universe, God, whatever you believe in, came to you and said, this thing is guaranteed to be successful, you would be a very different person. You would act completely differently. I think this reading is saying, like, that's how you need to act, as if something is a guaranteed success, and I really want to push you to do that, Aquarius, because I feel like you're capable. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Ten of Swords. So, basically the universe saying I meant what I said. Some sort of blessing in disguise. Definitely ending some sort of difficult nightmare or cycle or getting to the bottom of something here. Next, we're going to look at the good stuff. You have this Metamorphosis card. It says, your inner self is being renewed day by day, so new and better ways can come forth. New and better. That's your keyword, or two keywords. 3, if you count and. You have this Aquarius card. It says, rebellion. You are an Aquarius. It says, think outside the box and stretch the boundaries of what could be. I don't know. It's almost like I'm psychic or something. That's been like your entire reading there, Aquarius. So time to stretch the boundaries. 4 of Pentacles, 9 of Swords, all that stuff. You have the Six of Cups, the Eight of Wands, and the Eight of Swords. Yeah, Six of Cups is like a gift from the universe and the good stuff, like I said. It can represent pushing past an obstacle or overcoming some sort of obstacle, pushing past something that's been holding you back here, which is good. You have the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands is quick success or quick conclusion. Again, I think if you would push these boundaries, that you would probably have success much faster. Now, again, I have to be very careful what I say, but success isn't going to happen overnight right now. The pain in the ass thing with Saturn and Pisces is, it is long-term success. There you go. We have to, kind of like put in the work. We have to build something long-term. And that's what I would really be focusing on with the Eight of Wands is, long-term success. It might happen faster than you think, And a great example is like, I've had businesses since I was 16 years old. Every single time that I've built a new business, it has happened faster, but it still can take years, right? So it's like you get better over time and you get faster. And I think that's what the Eight of Wands is saying is like, yeah, maybe it's not overnight success, but, things are getting faster. You have the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords is self-imposed restriction. She is kind of in this prison. The good news is it's showing up in the good stuff, which basically says you will be finding success. You are breaking free from this prison or some sort of prison, which could be the Nine of Swords. It could be the prison of your mind, just in general. With the Six of Cups, you have the Five of Cups. Five of Cups is regrets, but in the good stuff, it would say you will not regret something. He needs to see these two cups and be grateful for what he has, which I would definitely recommend. Oh, here you go. It's almost like I'm psychic or something here, Aquarius. I knew something like this was going to come up. So do I even need to say it? She's just dipping her toes in the water. And you need to like dive into the deep end here and go deep into something or, fully explore something. But, it's almost like that having a childlike optimism as well. Like this doesn't mean you're blind to anything, but it just means that you're open, right? And I feel that would be a good energy to embrace. With the Eight of Swords, you have the Two Wands. Yes, Two Wands is kind of like a what are you waiting for card. Something is complete behind him. This wand stands on its own. And he has the opportunity to get out into the world, right? And, pretty much the whole reading is saying that. We go Chariot down to the Two Wands. The Chariot and the Two Wands could be like exploring the world, doing things in the world, all that other good stuff. You have this crown card. It says honor and respect will come to you. We talked about the crown on the temperance card. So go and claim your crown here, Aquarius. You have this bat. It says take care, enemies are working against you. Again, I think this is different motives. It's like, I don't think this is bad. I feel that you don't know what is in other people's minds, and this is why you need to take the lead, is right here. You have this chair empty. It says someone is leaving your life. I mean, sure. I think I feel that what's been coming up for you for like 2 months is that you could be leaving a group of people. And is this a bad thing? No. I think you're doing this for growth purposes. You have this 4-leaf clover. It says great good fortune. Yes, definitely 10 of Pentacles, right? I would be working towards your 10 of Pentacles. You have this February card, and you have this cobweb. It says protected from negative forces beyond your control. This is encouraging you. It's funny that I said, Saturn moves back into Aries in February. So it's like you are protected from risk right now. You probably should be taking bigger risks and putting yourself out there more with this energy. But this is one heck of a reading here, Aquarius. I like it. I do. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out. And definitely enjoy your month.